What's up, everybody? And by everybody, I mean people who are able to watch this because their parents didn't abort them. What's going on? I wanted to talk about this Georgia bill. That's what this is here. It's people are still flipping over it, so I'm not out of the loop yet. I didn't miss anything. But see, unborn children, Georgia's just trying to get it past the line, crossing up Hollywood. Democrats trailing behind, doing everything they can to stop states' rights, which I'm for. I think each state should have its own destiny. It'd be like you raise your kids, all four of your kids. Say you have four kids, you raise them all with the same amount of love and affection, and you want what's best for them in their own way. But you're not gonna raise your kids to like music, and all four of them like music, or all four of them like sports. Same way with and when you sit down and talk to them about their schoolwork, how you teach each kid, teachers know this. I know I shit on teachers a lot, but someone who's really in it to teach children know that everybody has a different type of learning experience. And that's why I don't like, not to get off on a jag, but corporate and or government controlled school systems is because they try to teach everyone in a uniform way and everybody learns different. That's why a lot of people get put on medicines for, oh, they can't pay attention, they're not smart, they're whatever, is because you're not teaching the kid in the way that their brain works. There's a lot of different temperaments, there's a lot of different way things work, or things work with the mind, what people are good at attribute wise, what even things that you're not physical, things that you choose, like your morals, what's important to you. And that's how I feel about the Georgia thing. I got so much shit whenever I was in art. Well, this is when I graduated art. I had all these liberals writing, nothing ever came up. But about a year after I graduated in 2015, Obama passed gay marriage, but he did it, and he lit the White House up, and it looked, we looked like a bunch of fairies to everybody in the world. But I didn't say God hates fags and all this stuff. I didn't say, oh, whatever, I didn't yell in the street and scream, and get put on iFunny and stuff like that. All I said was, I just wish, I'm not going to be surprised if California's for it and all these, in New York, all these metropolitan places that try to be progressive, but I just don't appreciate that he strong-handed the states. And they're, oh, well, you bigot, I bet you'd love to see gays, just whatever, and what about this and that? All I said was the way it was enacted. I didn't say not to. I mean, ultimately, in question on, I'm gonna not, be for gay marriage. I'm just not. But all I had to say was, with marijuana, with President Trump, I don't expect President Trump to decriminalize it. And I'm for people being decriminalized over legalization for now because I'm afraid of what corporations do with, that's what people try to do with right wingers. Oh, y'all for the corporate, y'all for the big business. Not really. A lot of these big businesses are left leaning, like Netflix and CBS and all your news outlets, Amazon, even places like Burger King or Walmart and things like that. You can get them to advertise weird stuff, That's not particularly right winger. But all these corporations get together and they determine what's good for people. And I think they would do that with marijuana. I think they would have a vested interest in taking away your firearms, your ability to drive a car. If all you people out there with children, no matter how you raise them compared to what I would, the government could come and take them away because you smoked one joint, that you bought legally, that they said you were allowed to have. They pass laws and tell you something's illegal, then they pass laws to tell you that it's back legal again. The government can only grant you the rights because it took them away from you that you already had. But with that, they could take away your kids and they could do civil asset forfeiture on you because always smokes marijuana, you lose your ability to do certain things and rights. Not to mention that there would be a vested interest in making it as strong as possible. Just like with pain pills. And it won't be as modified. It'll be modified and it won't be, even people have learned in the street ways to make it stronger and more potent. So imagine what the government would do. And that could work with, say, not to be, no drugs, this and that, right? I'm not particularly for people doing them. But even with something like marijuana, which is a plant that grows in the ground, people could use that and modify it like they do opium. Opium makes opioids. Imagine what they could do if they took a strand of marijuana and, say, bastardized it scientifically. They do it with stuff like that all the time. That's why you have these GMOs and other things. And so it sounds like a jag, but all of this stuff still goes down to states' rights. How you want, marijuana to be legalized, you want gay marriage to be legalized, and what is your stance on abortion as far as the state goes? And you can see why people don't want this to be the case of how things are operating, because in Louisiana they may have a Democratic mayor, or I mean governor rather, but the request of the consensus of the state, they're more socially conservative, if you want to use that term, and they wanted the heartbeat bill passed too, and so they're pushing forward, or they either passed something like that to protect children. And it was a Democratic mayor who signed it in, or forgive me, governor. I always not mix them up, but I always just think mayor for some reason. I'm thinking community. I'm thinking locally. Sorry, but yeah, he signed it in. It's just not like a Democrat. Well, I don't. Just not what I run on. He knew what his constituents wanted, and that's what I think. Obama and whoever it might be, when they override every state. The reason that Obama did that was for cheap political win points. But to me, the reason they do that is because California is mad as hell, because they know that they could never make Alabama California. And so Obama and everyone there that forced this on them with the federal over strong arming states' rights is because they knew not only would it take a lot of time to convince Georgia to come around on abortion, or Alabama to come around on gay marriage, like, because we saw with the Arthur, they banned the Arthur episode. I agree with it, to be honest with you. I don't want people implying things into kids that are 5 years old, or trying to embed thoughts in people's heads. But it's saying California, and people always say in California, don't forget about us conservatives, because I'm sure it's like upstate New York has a lot of conservatives, but it's the cities that ruin it for the reputation. I know it's the same with California, so I give y'all the benefit of the doubt. But as far as the power of the machine that is, modernist, wanting to always progress, change things, even if it's for wacky reasons, and just complete absolute libertad freedom, which isn't always the greatest thing when you're talking about freedom to murder your children and stuff. And they know with stuff like that and gay marriage that you're never going to be able to convince Georgia, or you're going to have to replace them demographically, like how all the California people are moving to Austin, Texas, because California is failing under the policies that they're running from. You shouldn't be allowed to run from your problems like that you help vote in. But even that would have taken too long to get people imported into Georgia or Alabama to support gay marriage. So Obama did it, strong-armed it all 50 at one time, which that's why it was a dirty move. And people always want to talk about, well, with Obama, they said he was a lame duck and he couldn't do this with Merrick Garland when it came to the Supreme Court. On one thing that you can even think of, Supreme Court. Oh, well, what did he do when he was doing the Iran deal on his way out the door? He signed over the rights to the internet that the U.S. created. The United States is the only country in the world that has a First Amendment, at least written down, that we, at least pretend to honor. There's quarrels with it, I'm sure, and what can we get away with now compared to what we think we should be able to say and express, etc. But we're the only ones, and we're the ones who created the internet. And you're going to give it over to the UN. The UN doesn't particularly like the United States, in my opinion, and even if you're being charitable to them, they don't particularly like us, but we're one and the same with everyone else, even if you're being nice. We're all, quote unquote, the same. Like, we're the same as a third world to them as far as our needs, but as far as what we are, wanting to give out, hey, you owe us this. It doesn't take into consideration that everybody owes the same then, but we all have the same amount of quote unquote power, even though the U.S. would be carrying a lot of the defense, carrying a lot of the medical advancements and even stuff like technology with the internet. So he gave that to them. They have no reason to honor our free speech in the UN. Do you think? He gave that on the way out the door. So people, and then with the gay marriage, he did that in 2015. That was about a year and a half out from it was his, it was a lame duck term, even though, but it was like towards the end. It was over the latter half of his second term. So I don't want to hear about all these people they complain about. Well, they didn't get to do this. They tried to block him. Whether it's Republicans or other people, they tried to block Obama. Look at all the stuff that I just said of huge importance that he did. And it's not just the president. It's people like senators and it's people like these celebrities that want to act like that Georgia passing a 6-week heartbeat bill is just a disrespect to all these whore actresses in Hollywood, and we're going to boycott Georgia. I thought I'd get into this too. I thought this was funny that Hollywood, and they said they wanted to boycott Georgia because of Alabama, they started doing the abortion talks in the pro-life, rather, the pro-life direction. And then Georgia just came in and said, okay, we'll do it. Governor Brian Kemp, he came in and signed the heartbeat bill, which is 6 weeks. 6 weeks is enough time to figure out that you might be pregnant because women, will throw up. You'll feel different. I'm not a woman, but I know that you can tell that different within 6 weeks or something's up. You can take a pregnancy test by then if you're really on it. I mean, people say, well, what if I don't know if there's a baby and I can't feel it or whatever? Or I don't, it's not going to be kicking me. You know that you had sex. It's like going outside. It's like you say, oh, I have ticks on me, right? I could have ticks on me. How would you know? Well, I wore a bunch of long pants. So you still went out in the woods. It's like with sex. Well, I wore protection. Wouldn't it help? Wouldn't it help to take a test, even if you quote unquote wore protection or thought you were 100% safe? Which I'm not condoning fucking around with people, but if you think you did it safe and you want to make sure, you still have 6 weeks with the heartbeat bill. It's not that hard, unless people are unwilling to admit that they're wanting to let the baby gestate and grow to the point to where they can sell body parts. Or maybe there's some people out there that just like get some sick thrill out of ritualistically killing their own children in. They have no problem. They're not arguing over. They're not saying, "Well, you're taking away our birth control" or anything like that, which we are to them. But they're not saying, "Well, what's next? You're taking birth control away," because they know that it's not about birth control, even like the pills that you take, because they act like, "Well, where are we going to go to get health care? We better have insurance that pays for our pills." Hell no. And second of all, what's a bigger cost, that or an abortion? I would assume an abortion, which is a medical procedure. It's like the equivalent of going to see the doctor for the damn flu or going to see the dentist to have a root canal done. It's a lot different than a cleaning. It's a lot different than brushing your teeth, which is what would be taking a pregnancy test or the morning after pill. They had that since the Roe v. Wade thing. It's just this whole thing is just a big fucking shit show. And Hollywood's going to dictate from across the map, literally across the map, how Georgia should run. You don't even know the geography. You don't know what would happen to. That's why if you look at the EU, that's why people don't like the EU. They don't like all these unions that they're trying to form, because Belarus is not the same as Brussels, and England's not the same as Turkey, which they're trying to get into the UN. Even Russia and Estonia and all those places, even the satellite states of countries of Russia, they're not the same per se. You look at the United States within what you would consider American cities to countries, north to south, east to west, rural versus urban, and even with stuff like races and sex. So don't tell me that you can like one size fits all for these things, and it's always in one direction that they want the one size to fit. So they want the one size to fit all, and then they get to pick what we're going to wear. So what are they going to do? They're going to boycott it in the sense that I guess they're not going to They're going to make sure Georgia doesn't get money in every single way, I'm sure. When it comes to filming, they're not going to go and film there. I guess they would. I don't know, I guess they're going to not visit or do anything there, not have shows. It's kind of like what I said in other videos about HB2. Pearl Jam and Springsteen, they were losers. They screwed over their fans in the state that believe it in what they wanted, so they were punishing them. So it's dumb. People always talk about boycotts don't work, and to an extent they don't, but this is what they mean by that when it doesn't, especially when it's executed really crappy like this. It's just over one state, and it's a law that you're protesting, and it's going to make you look really shitty because the optics aren't great. It's a heartbeat bill. You're going to look dumb objecting to it. Like, all they want is for babies to not be able to be killed after you find out there's a heartbeat. That would be the definition of life to even people that don't think it starts at conception. Would be you have a heart that's pumping blood. So you look like you're going against common sense, which, they do, but you're not going to have anybody that goes there. And I think it's so funny because, they love to hate all these places. And all these places are so backwards, they don't have it right. But you have people, not that he is bitching about the abortion thing, McConaughey, but I've heard where he was going through South Carolina and Greenville and all that, saying, I would like to move here. And a lot of people say, well, that's not true, he didn't move there. No, but he said he would like to move to those places. And I think could have sworn he was in North Carolina filming one time here in my state. And in Georgia, he ultimately said he wanted to live in Wichita, Kansas. And I think he's moving there, or had moved there. And this is in 2016, a while back, to 2017 maybe, when he actually did do it. But people say, oh, well, fucker, he moved to Wichita, Kansas. Do you think Wichita, Kansas, on the outskirts of it, not the city, which is where Joe Walsh is from? But do you think that the homesteadish type of Kansas, where you think he's still not, quote unquote, getting away from Hollywood, to even these rich people that are bred in Hollywood don't like it? It's empty, it's not fulfilling, and people pick up on that, whether you know that or not. And when you come out and are objecting against things that are preserving life while you have an empty life, it's not helping. It's like when a Madonna says, well, I just won't have sex with anyone because of this abortion or whatever, I'm abortion striking and all that. It's like, no one wants to fuck you, you old dirty used up horror rag. It's like, wow, what a loss. You really got us by the elbow. You got us in the chicken wing. We're really torn between what we want to do. Our morality, washed up whore. Oh no. And I'm not a fan of movies anyways. I don't like sitting down for 2 hours and not being able to do anything. Not that you can't, you can watch them at home and stuff, but just it's nothing to do with how long it is, because I watch these types of streams and other things and how to do things. It's not for me, like scripted shows and movies. But they're going to take a hit, because even Netflix is saying, well, we're going to show them who's boss. We're going to not show, or maybe, I don't know if they're going to air stuff or what. They're the type to do that, but they're not going to film more things, I guess, themselves, because they have Netflix exclusives. I guess they're not going to, quote unquote, fuck with Georgia. Which is so crazy, because of Netflix and all these Hollywood stars. They'll go, it's nothing to do with. It's like what Jericho Green said. If you follow him, he said it pretty succinct. He said it has to do with Trump, because Georgia is a U.S. state. It's a way that you can get at Trump, because it is a Republican, Brian Kemp, who's the governor. And Trump happens to be in the Republican Party. And so you're going to be able to utilize that to go after him, because it is his purview as a state. Not that I'm saying that, oh, well, you just said that the president shouldn't have dominion federally. I'm not talking about that. I'm saying that a state by default is a part of the United States. And you can tie it to the president in that regard on the world stage. But what do? All these places like the UAE, United Arab Emirates, they film there. They film in Egypt. All these places like National Treasure and stuff. And not to say that Nicolas Cage is involved in like opinion one way or other, but just a movie like that, you'd be out in the desert. You'd be out there on the pyramids. The abortion's illegal in Egypt. They don't fuck around over there. Saudi Arabia, everybody was like, oh, it's I think it was 2017. Oh, maybe 2018, but we'll just give them the benefit of the doubt. Women finally get the right to drive in Saudi Arabia, and everybody's like, that's so progressive. Oh my God. They're over there filming there. They throw gays off buildings in Saudi Arabia. they they let women wear. They're the type to let women wear pants, but only because they're funny looking. You know, well, you've earned the right to wear pants because we can laugh at you. And they want to protest. Oh, this. They always want to protest in a country that's really open, like the United States. To me, it's too open to these things that they think socially, but they can go after that. Well, it's like it's the person that goes after somebody they know that won't hit them back. You're not going to get thrown off of a building for objecting to stuff here, so that's why you'd bitch here. But you won't dare go up against people in the Middle East where you filmed, I'm sure. Oh well, I can't tell them how to run their country because it's their own country. Well, it's not about telling them to run their country because you figured out that you can't tell Georgia how to run themselves as a state. So what would your second thing be to do? You seem to know with Georgia when it's something that you think you have dominion over because it's America. I can boss them around. You would boycott. You would say, I'm just not going to film in the United Arab Emirates either. I wouldn't film in China, because China kills their political dissenters. They've got mobile execution vans that harvest organs. They're for abortion because they're like an atheistic communist police state, but they would go against your feminist not vibes, but diatribes really. And like if you really meant you were for girl power and preserving women, they do sex specific abortions in China. And that's why there's so many men that outnumber the women, is because you want a firstborn son, and if you get a firstborn daughter, you're gonna abort it. There's places in Ireland, or there's places like Ireland and other places up there, where it's actually, you can actually figure out if there's something wrong with your child mentally, like if they're mentally retarded or if they might have Asperger's or whatever, and they abort them. You got, you guys are supposed to be for all these oppressed groups. You guys are going to film there. I mean, the only place that they'll probably keep their word on it is something like Russia, because they're not progressive with the gay issues. The only reason they would not be for Russia now is because they want to keep the narrative going that they quote unquote hacked the election. It wouldn't even be for their own quote unquote morals. And it's just so whack. It seems like people that have the money to throw at things, and they have the political capital and the economic capital to be able to even if it's just busting people in, which we talk shit about, sure, but I don't even see them doing that. They're not putting their money where their mouth is. They seem to be all right in the Hollywood Hills with all that money, and they're not utilizing it. And then they'll want to talk shit about someone in the street, just with their sign that says, talk to me about abortion. I don't think it's right. Oh, look at this dumb poor podunk thinking they can change something. What a stupid pleb. Listen to us, we're Hollywood. Hollywood can't even, well, we're busy. Well, what would you do then? You would throw money at people that aren't busy to be able to push the cause forward. You're not doing that. You don't really fucking care. It's the bully. Because bullies don't even care about getting the lunch money. It's about taking it from you. It's about telling you what to do. And that's what they want with Georgia. And Netflix is going to have to figure out how much they like money. Just Netflix as an example. They're going to have to figure out what they like more, killing babies or getting money off of people that watch movies. Because I'm pretty sure Georgia's not going to go, oh, you know what? This whole thing about preserving life, oh, I just can't do without my movies. And we got people that you can go to prison for thinking about killing your baby now after 6 months, or jail or whatever. And if you're a quote unquote abortion refugee, and you go to another place, another state where you can get it, then you could get in trouble. No shit. How about register to live your residency, change your residency, and move to a house you've got 9 months? Well, 9 months. Well, we've only got 6 weeks now. Not in California. If you leave Alabama, even after 6 weeks, it's too late to get it in Alabama. But you could go live in, quote unquote, live in California and be a resident there at least, and then do it. That's how you would get out of that. Is it really worth not having sex to where you get in the position to have abortion to go all the way and have to move to another state just so you can, quote unquote, get one? Sounds like a lot of work for just You know, compared to celibacy or even safe sex. Ugh, you know, it makes me sick thinking about saying that as an alternative. But if people just can't keep their pecker in their pants or their coochie unlocked and want to keep, you know, fucking around instead of doing stuff with their life, the least you could do is try to not get it to where a child is conceived and you're even in that position. Nobody's talking about that. They want to get mad at Georgia when after years and years and years of this bullshit, they finally used their states' rights nuts and flop them on the table and say, hey, California, you're not Georgia and we're not you, and spits on the ground. I'm all for Georgia. I'm all for it. I mean, look at them. Saving the unborn. Breaking ankles, dude. Georgia is on their minds. That's all Hollywood's thinking about. That's all they're thinking about. But this is the year of the revenge of the baby. So, hoes mad. Abortion canceled. Hoes equal mad. What do you guys think? I think it's a good win for the most part, at least in the optics of the culture war. But follow your boy. Womp.